Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Our Small Footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you're new here, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia. It is Monday morning, so we've been doing these daily videos for the last few days, trying to get everything sorted, and so I thought I may as well document it while I went. And I'm just going to keep going for the moment, see how we go. As I said, it's Monday morning. Darryl does his Dungeons and Dragons streaming game thing that he hosts on Mondays, which kind of means that I have to stay away for 4 or 5 hours from my desk because it's next to his and noise travels and stuff like that. So I'm out in the kitchen anyway. I brought my laptop out actually, and I'm going to grab my iPad because I do have to do inventories and stuff like that. But I also need to get the last few things done. So I do want to do smoothie pops. I still haven't done it. Someone in the comment did say I could get the kids or Darryl to do them, and I definitely could. They are more than capable of doing them, and if they make smoothies, then I get them to pour excess into the molds. They just have this tendency, because they're children, and Darryl doesn't eat smoothies at all, but the children have a tendency to overdo things, as children do, and put protein powder in there. Protein powder tastes good. Well, maybe I'll put a bit extra in there because it tastes good, and then it no longer tastes good. Or, the more fruit, the better, because fruit's what tastes good, and then it ends up being too much, and sometimes the smoothies are almost inedible. So I just do find it easier to do myself. I have been looking at, the frozen fruit that I store in the freezer, I store it in like big bags of banana, big bags with plums, big bags with berries, whatever. And I did consider maybe I need to separate them into mixed bags, and then when they go to make a smoothie or smoothie pops or whatever, they can just pull a mixed bag out, and that's the quantity that they use. I'm thinking that might work to pass that task over a little bit. But for the moment, I think I'm just going to make them for today. The kids are around, so someone might come out and help me pour them and stuff too. But the other thing was that I still didn't get to make yogurt. And if I can make some yogurt up, they can make the pancake bake while I'm gone. I'll just write down how I make it, and they can make it from the recipe because it's simple enough to do. So I need to put some yogurt on. So I think I'm going to do that first up because I like yogurt to do about 12 hours, and it's now 10 a.m. So if I get it on now, then Darryl can put it in the fridge before he goes to bed, and then it'll be chilled but for morning to use for whatever we need to do. So I think I'm going to start with that. I'm going to go and get my jars, and we'll start there. Now, what I did discover last time, so the last time I made yogurt, I was trialing out using the jars, and what I did discover was that only 4 jars fit in my yogurt maker, which is a bit of a bummer because when I mix up my yogurt, it fills 5 jars. I may still fill the 5th jar. Last time I put the 5th jar in the fridge, which isn't going to do anything, and it's just milk basically. But the temperatures aren't too bad. They're up in the mid to high 20s. So maybe I will fill the second one and see, I can use, I wonder I'm going to have to test it out. I'm going to have to buy a tester because I can use the dehydrator to ferment yogurt, but running it for that long, it probably uses far more power than my yogurt maker. I might do some testings on how much power it's drawing to go, because we only need it to run at 37 degrees. Maybe it won't draw a whole lot of power. I'll have to have a look, because if I did it in the dehydrator, I could do 6-8 jars. I could do possibly the 10, like a 4-litre batch. So we'll see. But because when I mix this up, there's going to be excess, maybe I will still fill the 5th jar, and I will just put it in my Wonder Bag. Though you have to heat it first for the Wonder Bag to work. I don't have a small thermos, otherwise I could use like a small thermos, but maybe I'll just leave it at room temperature. It's going to culture a bit. It's not going to thicken up, but it will just be thin pouring yogurt, and that can be used in smoothies or baking or something, because otherwise I'm just going to end up with a spare jar full of liquid unnecessarily. Like, I don't want to waste that liquid either. So I did get told in the comments that the Morello cherry jars fit, 4 of them fit in the maker, and they are like 680 grams or something. They're a bit larger than these, and maybe 4 of them would hold the 2 litres. So I am going to buy those cherry jars, but I do have to use the cherries out of them before I get to use them. And ideally I'd like 2 sets of them. The cherries aren't overly expensive, and I can use them in like ice cream and stuff. So I've just given my bowl a really good clean, because if you've got contaminants, then it can affect the way your yogurt ferments. It can stop it from fermenting. So give it a really good clean with some vinegar, and then I'm going to dry it off to start with. Okay, so I use UHT milk. Someone asked me what I was saying. U for Uncle, H for Harry, T for Tom. It's ultra heat treated milk, and it means that I don't have to heat the milk first. So if you're using fresh milk, you have to heat it up to a certain temperature, and then let it reduce to a certain temperature before you can add the culture to it, which is an awful lot of work. But we also don't buy fresh milk very often. So we have 2 litres of the UHT milk, and then we're going to put in 100 grams of milk powder, which I probably should have stuck in beforehand. This bowl might now be too heavy for my scales. It's going to let me. So we're going to do 100 grams of milk powder. We're going to do half a dozen drops of calcium chloride, which just helps to thicken the yogurt. And then we have the culture. So I'm using a Bulgarian culture here that I bought on Amazon, and we're using a scant 1/4 teaspoon. Then we're just going to whisk this all up so it's all blended. You really need a big bowl like this, but with a pouring spout, because now I have to get that into the jars. And I didn't think about that when I was doing it. So that's all mixed well, and now this just has to go into the jars before it can go in the yogurt maker. So let me find a funnel. Alright, so we've just cleaned that off as well, and I'm going to see how I go pouring this into the funnel. These bowls are quite rigid, which makes it a bit easier. Yeah, I think I'm just going to do the 4 jars. There's a bit of excess liquid here, and I hate the wastage of it, but it's not warm enough. If it was summer, that whole fermenting it on the bench would like completely work, but I can't see it happening because the temperatures are just dropping too much, and it's only sort of low to mid 20s today. So I think I'll ferment some grain in that as a treat for some of the chooks. And I'll buy those cherry jars this trip, and maybe because they're just that little bit bigger and there's just not that much left, that I might be able to fit it all in. It's a little bit sucky because these jars get some really nice lids for the mason style jars too, which means that I could have had lids specifically for the yogurt. Otherwise I need to think about, like 2 yogurt makers isn't gonna work, because if 2 litres makes 5, I suppose 3 litres would make 8 if they were only filled to the rim. So I'm squirreling. I'm so just thinking out loud. This is what I do, and this is why I used to do voiceovers, because but everyone seems to like my squirreling. But possibly 3 litres, especially if I'm adding, so instead of using a culture, so this is a store-bought freeze-dried culture because I store it in the freezer, because you have to save yogurt to add as your culture, or buy pot set yogurt of some sort, and I never remember. So the kids, I use these, and then I use the last one and I go, I forgot to keep yogurt to start the next batch. But if I was using some, like a half a jar of this to start the next batch, that bulks it up as well. So maybe 3 litres would go across 8 of these. Maybe I need to plug my meter into my yogurt maker and see what it draws. But during the day, it wouldn't be an issue. If I did it like this during the day all the time and ran it for 12 hours from 8 to 8, then that would really not impact my solar much at all. And it's on the kitchen solar, not on the main solar. So maybe I just need a second yogurt maker. they're not cheap, but we go through this pretty quick. Like, if the kids eat yogurt and granola, I don't have any granola made at the moment, but if they eat yogurt and granola, they would easily go through 2 of these in one sitting. When I'm making the pancake bake, I tend to only use 1. If I'm doing big batches of smoothies and I have yogurt, I would use it. If I don't have yogurt, I use coconut cream. And having them in these individual jars means that they're not getting contaminated. The big 2-litre container, the big problem with the big 2-litre container was that the kids would scoop things out of it, or they'd leave the utensils in it, and then it would end up contaminated and potentially moldy and stuff, whereas these will last for, you could get a couple of weeks out of these in the fridge if you haven't even cracked them open. So anyway, things to think about. I'm going to get these into the yogurt maker. So I have it's here, my Louvel yogurt maker. And the 4 jars fit in that. It has water in the bottom. It has a timer and temperature gauge on it. And I really, really like it. I have had a few cheaper versions of yogurt makers over the years. But the problem is that the temperatures here fluctuate so much that when it got too cold, it couldn't keep it warm enough. And when it got too hot, it was going overheat. And I had a few occasions where the yogurt basically like exploded out of the jars. So it was an inconsistent thing. So I decided to go with the electric one and deal with the power usage, which is pretty low because the way it works is it heats this water that's in the bottom of it. So it ends up being a heated water bath that is heating your yogurt. So because it's using that water as its method to warm up, it just has to maintain the water temperature, which means that it doesn't use a whole lot of power. But I'm going to test it. I'm going to get my little meters out and have a look. So I'm going to set this to the 37 and then 12 hours, and then it just does its thing and it turns off when it's done, which is good too. So it won't just keep on going. So that is the first thing done. Now, this is the 5th jar from last time, and it's just been in the fridge, and I've just popped it open, and it's kind of got some bubbles, and it had a little bit of a hiss to it, and it smells like milk kefir. So I used to make milk kefir all the time to use for things like smoothies and stuff, but I got out of the habit of it because the kids accidentally poured the kefir grains into a smoothie at some point, so I need to order more, and they're just expensive, so I haven't got around to it. But I'm going to use this in their smoothie pops. So it is fermented. It's very thin. There's no thickness to it at all. But you can smell the fermentation, and it made a bit of a hiss when it popped open. So there is that feasibility of, even if I just got left on the bench for 24, 48 hours and then got put in the fridge, it would ferment into a liquid, which is fine for certain uses. So there is that option to do that with that extra milk rather than the second yogurt maker. I'll have to have a think about it. But yeah, I'd say this will be very similar to milk kefir, and any sort of fermentation seems to be fine for the kids to tolerate it, whether it's a milk kefir or a proper cultured sour cream, not necessarily sour cream that you buy from the store, but a proper cultured sour cream, which is basically what this is without the thickening as well. It's a fermented dairy product that has got those live cultures in it, and it's got lots of little bubbles on the top and lots of there's definitely a significant amount of activity in that. So we'll use that for the smoothie pops today. All right. We had the discussion in the last video. I've got my mic facing sort of away from me, but not quite at the bench. Let's see how that works this particular time. Okay, so I've got my fizzy milk and my Thermomix bowl and all my fruit. So I just went to the freezer and grabbed out a bunch of things. So we've got a block of, I believe that was mango strawberry puree. I've got a few pieces of plum and a chunk of just straight mango, and then a few bananas as well for each. Sort of 2.5 bananas in each one by the looks of it. And that's plenty of fruit for the smoothie pop factor. I then have the fizzy milk, so I'm going to use about half of it in each one. which will give it that sour yogurty tang. I also got this breakfast juice in a hamper at some point, and I have been using some watered down juice in the smoothie pops lately, which seems to have appealed to the kids. I've been using the refresher stuff that I got half price, which is already watered down, but only because it's half price was it worth buying watered down juice, if that makes sense. So this is full strength juice, like 100% juice made from concentrate. So all I'm going to do is put, I suppose I should measure it so that I've got a general idea. Let's say 250 mils of juice, so like a cup of juice, and then we'll do some water, say a pint of water, 500 odd mils of water. All right, and then we're going to add some protein powder. I'm using Macro Mike's because that's what I always use, because we like it. This one is the Hawaiian salted vanilla one. They have like a berry cheesecake flavored one, which works really well in these smoothies, but I've run out, and I'm trying to get through and figure out what I've got left before I do another order. Macro Mike, I did approach them for affiliates, but I didn't get approved. But the best way to buy through them is to spend about $350 in one go. If you spend $350 in one go, you get free shipping, you get 3 free gifts, a protein ball of some sort, a baking mix of some sort, and a whole free protein powder. So when you do it that way and then you break it down per serve pricing of the protein powder, it works out really efficiently priced, but it's not worthwhile to just buy a bag here and there, because add the shipping on, and the lack of discounts for the thing. And I only buy on sale too, so I buy when it's Black Friday sales or whatever. Like, I don't pay full price, and then it works out okay, but it does mean that it's a significant outlay in one go. So I'm trying to decide whether I also want to add half a tin of coconut cream to this too, to give it just that extra bit of creamy boost, because we only used half of this in there, so I might do that. I was just thinking that one of those jars of cherries could even be turned into like a cherry ripe smoothie pop set. So half a tin of the coconut cream as well, and then we've got it's around about the same as if I put a whole tin, because we've got half of the fizzy milk and half of that, and that's brought it up to the 2 litre mark, which is where we want to get it to. Then we're going to blend it. Now, those really big chunks of fruit, the Thermomix copes okay, but if you were using something different, I would definitely wait for them to defrost or freeze them smaller. Freezing them smaller would be ideal, but I don't always have the right containers. Also didn't add chia seeds, so it just gives me the opportunity to add some chia seeds, a couple of tablespoons of chia seeds in there, some good fiber, and then we will blend that up again. I store these ice block molds in the freezer like I do my Ziploc bags, because then I don't have to worry about getting them super clean, the dust and the dirt and everything else. And all our smoothies are basically the same base ingredients, so nothing is going to be any different when we put them in there. So all I do is I fill the molds. Generally speaking, one of these jugs will fill 2 of these molds, is what I generally find. So I will do 4 sets. I'll do 2 jugs worth and 4 sets of molds today for the freezer. And part of this is also reorganizing the freezer and inventorying as well, because to put these in the freezer I normally have to move things around. So I'm going to have a look at what I've got sitting in that freezer as well, check my cheeses and things like that. I had some overflow of chicken from the bulk meat order as well that ended up in the upright freezer, which is where these go. So I need to assess whether I can organize that into the other freezer now, and double check what's there. Also, the chest freezer needs to be checked, because I've got all the bolognese needs to be bagged up and frozen, so I need somewhere flat for that to go into the freezer. Though I was supposed to order some more vacuum seal bags in the big size for the bolognese, and I can't recall that I did. And I don't know that I've got much in the way of Ziploc bags left either, so we will have to see how we go with that. So that was most of a jug in those 2 molds, and then we just put our lids on, and that's all that there is though, I think. Yeah, Kavik was showing me what's left in the Ziploc bags. And then we get the sticks in these. So do you want to put the sticks in, Kavik? Yeah? Alright, so we've got these in. I'm just going to push them down a little bit further because these are the shorter sticks. And then I'm just going to transfer to a tray for transport over to the freezer. Now, so it's been overcast all morning, but not excessively so, and all of a sudden it's just started pouring. I'm sure you can hear it. So I've got those smoothie pops in the freezer, and actually I might just go inside and sit for a bit and see if it passes, because we've got roof leaking right behind me there, and it's always unpleasant out here when it rains because it leaks in various spots, and everything that's important is protected, but it's just not great. So what else? I need to do all the inventory and stuff too, but I might make some lists first and then I'll come back. And I might end up having this prep video, as being a different one to the planning video, even though I'm filming them both on the same day. We'll see how we go with that. So anyway, I'm going to go sit down for half an hour, finish my morning coffee, and we'll see. All right, so it is now Tuesday. After the rain and stuff, the day got away from me yesterday, and I just, yeah. So I did do a quick inventory of everything, and I have the spreadsheet. So what I might do is I might go through that first. I do have to do a couple more prep things before I leave. I probably need to bake some bread today. Maybe I'll do some baguettes, because that tends to last them quite a few days to use. And I have 2 of those round beefs left in the fridge. So one of them I'm going to slice up fine to be made into jerky. Darryl can put that in the dehydrator and jerkify that while I am gone. And I'm going to bump the salts and the dry rubs flavors for that. And then the other one I'll probably velvet for dinner tonight, and then they can have the leftovers over the next couple of days as well. We do have some udon noodles left, so I could do maybe a beef stir fry tonight, and then they can have the leftover beef with whatever they want over the next couple of days. So yeah, so I went through and did my inventory. I always struggle to show all this. I've got my iPad that I'm going to show you that I normally do, but maybe we'll go and have a quick look at the freezer and stuff first, and I'll show you what I did there, and what I assessed there. The shelves and the cupboards and the totes and stuff is normal. I'll see how I go. Let's go have a look at the freezer first. Alright, so I went through and restacked the freezer last night so that I could see what we have. I have 2 of these boneless chickens left that Darryl can use while I'm gone, so he can cook them up and they can have them with whatever they want. And there's also some of the broccoli rice and cauliflower rice, so he can use that as well. There's also a couple of containers of the pre-cooked marinated chicken thighs, so again, that can be defrosted and used. I stashed all the excess meat here. There's a couple of things extra for them too. There's some roasted whole baby potatoes, there's some rissoles that came with the hamper, and this is a little bit of buttermilk chicken, so all of those things can be stuck in the oven and cooked up while I'm gone as, you know, use the ends of things meals. This is all the chicken breast that I bought in the bulk meat order, so I haven't actually used any of these. So there's 12 kilos of chicken breasts here, and there's also the tenderloins underneath, so I think I have 3 packets of those, so I have about 7.5 kilos of tenders left, as well as those 12 kilos of breast. So we've got heaps of chicken there. I've also got 15 kilos of the thighs frozen in the other freezer. We've got a little bit of mince that we minced up in the first batch of that trim that we just froze. Again, I need some big vacuum seal bags. I keep on forgetting. And then underneath this crate, so In this crate here, there is some miscellaneous items under here. It's fruit. There's some of the low moisture mozzarella that I bought, and then the crate underneath this one has backup fruit as well, and then there is still a bit more fruit. So there's still another bag of bananas there, another bag of peaches there, a bag of strawberries there, that sort of thing. All these ice packs I've got in here to put in the eskies for taking down to Brisbane. And there's like a bag of mushrooms and there's the chilies that I need to turn into cowboy candy that I haven't got around to, and we've got the bags of these that haven't been broken down either. The other couple are in the other freezer. I bought that the frozen mince from Costco last time because we thought it might be handy to have. Not huge fans of it. It's very, very lean, but Darryl can use it while I'm gone. Just pull out the little 250 grams and he basically just cooks it as like a burger patty, and that's more fruit and stuff there. I did buy some dairy-free choc melts to do some stuff for the kids that I didn't get around to for Easter, but we will use them again. And this is my stash of clean empty Ziploc bags that I use. So this freezer has plenty of space at the moment. It could do with another scrape down. Unfortunately, because we use our chest freezer daily, and we put lots of trays of things on the top to flash freeze, it builds up pretty quick. So I do this every time I do an inventory. I haven't done it this time, but this would have been done 8 to 10 weeks ago. Everything would have been scraped off and discarded, but it's just, yeah, I haven't got around to doing it. So this is the freezer at the moment. Still plenty of space to put stuff in. There is some stuff in the drawers of the upright freezer. This drawer is normally my creamy drawer, my ice cream drawer, and I had to empty all the creamy pots out because this is that 15 kilos of thighs. So there's that in there, and then the extra pepperoni, and then all the normal stuff that, you know, all the smoothie pops and everything go in this freezer. It's just this is actually lemon juice or lime juice ice trays, the bits of cheese and, you know, ice and things like that go in this one. So, but those drawers are full of the chicken at the moment because I needed somewhere to put them. So that's what I did. The bottom of this freezer is where we do 2 full drawers of veggies normally, and we've actually got a drawer full of the single serve meals that need to go to Mum's this trip too. So all that goes in these 3 drawers in the bottom of this one as well, just to keep things sorted. Then we just have all our crates with all our various things. So I inventoried this and reorganized it yesterday. This one's a miscellaneous crate. It's got some ice cream cones, the extra cocoa that's left, some of our lentils and almonds and things like that. And we have the other crates scattered where we need. So this one's a noodles and pasta crate, for example. There's one full of oats. There's one that has coffee beans and things like that. And then there's just the shelf with the standard tin stuff on it as well. But I haven't actually reorganized that one, so I'm not going to show it to you because it's not stacked properly and it doesn't make sense to anyone anyway at the moment. So we've got shelves scattered in a few places, but these totes are what we use the majority of for storing the food once it comes home. So as you saw, we've still got a fair bit of nuts left, and some pasta and things like that, but we completely ran out of some things too. So it was a little bit strange. It's the whole 10-week period thing, I think, is the big part of it, was that it was really hard to judge. So this shop is going to be about 5, actually it might end up being only 4 weeks because of the Thermomix training that's on the 24th of May. I'm not going to go down there for that and also make another trip the next week for shopping. So if I'm going down for that, then I will make my shopping work in that timeline as well. So it might only be 4 weeks. Then the next one, though, Darryl has Synod in June. So timing wise, it'll probably be a 6-week gap with the next one. So we're just going to work on that sort of 4 to 6 week time span and see how we go with that one. And figure it out from there. It's going to be a little bit of a, yeah, and we did this whole learning curve to drag them out, and now we're having to bring it back, and there's a bit of a learning curve there too in trying to figure out what we used, what we didn't use, and how much to buy in the shorter period without overbuying certain things as well. So what I do is I go through all that stuff and I do my inventory. Let me bring my iPad up, and what I might do is I might screen record my iPad as well as filming myself front on like this, and then we can figure out what I share where when I edit it. It's going to take me a bit more to edit it, but just might be the way it needs to be. One of the kids brought Sinatra out for a visit, so he came to say hi. And Sonnet has been making the cat's collars using her paracord, and I bought breakaway clasps for the kitten's collars, so he wants to get on my bench, but you're not allowed on my bench because it's a kitchen bench. So this is Sinatra.
Big beady eyes.
All right, so with my inventory, what I do is I have a spreadsheet type thing that I made up, and I use it on my iPad. You can print it out though as well, and it is available for free on the website. And I have 3 columns on it, and I have a list of the most common things that I'm going to have in stock at any one time in my kitchen. I adapt it as I go, add things, take things away. Every now and again I update my spreadsheet properly, but at the moment I've just been handwriting on it. Now I have 3 columns that give me my base numbers are, what I already have, and how much I need to bring it back to that base number. So the base numbers on this particular occasion have changed a fair bit because we're going for 4 to 6 weeks rather than the 10 weeks. So what I've done is I've copied the base numbers that I had previously, and I've moved them over to the side of the spreadsheet so that I can put new ones in the middle to base around what I was thinking about. Now, I don't think this screen recording is going to work because I kind of need to point things out as I'm going, and you're not going to see that. So I think I need to turn the camera and show the screen. I just always find it difficult to get the angle right on it. I really need like an overhead setup here, and I haven't got it, so we'll deal with it. I've still got the screen recording, so even if we use that anyway. So the columns that I have are my base rate, my haves, and my needs, and this was the previous month's requirements. So I've adjusted my base numbers by what I think will last me at least the 4 to 6 weeks. Some of these I've kept a little bit loosely higher though, because the whole point is that when I was doing the 10-week runs, the whole thing was that I was using everything I had. And by using everything I had, it meant that we were running short. So we've run out of a few things. So this time, the idea is if I'm going every 4 to 6 weeks, I don't want to do as much as I would need for a 10-week. But if I bump the quantities up a little bit, I should get a little bit of a backlog of things coming in, which will help me in the end. We got some glare here too, so I don't know how well you can see this. We'll see how we go. So I have everything broken down into different categories and then the different types. Like we've got all our basics, your oats and flours and rices and all that in the top. And I have multiple pages of different things. This color coding is where I normally order things from. So generally speaking, the green stuff comes from Aldi, the blue from Costco, the purple from Woolworths, and the orange from Coles. Woolworths and Coles and Aldi can be a little bit interchangeable though. These ones here that I've already done the orange in, I have already ordered online from Coles. So I've done an online delivery order to Mum's place for Wednesday afternoon when I get there of these items, because one shop a month from Coles I get 10% off as well. So I do up to a maximum of a $500 order. So I tend to do a significant order through Coles delivery, and I do it for the Wednesday so that on Thursday when I'm going and doing the rest of the shop, and then anything that they swap out or they don't provide, I can purchase in store on Thursday. So I haven't done my Woolworths one yet as well, but my Woolworths I get 10% off as well, so I will do a Woolworths one as well. And then that's color coded there. Some of these things, it depends on price and all the rest of it, but I go through and I fill this completely out. When I then go to do the shopping, I have this second half of my screen, which is my little planner type thing that I created that hasn't been done in a way that I can actually share it. It's just for me to use. And it has a few different sections that I use every month. So I've put down here that chicken and stuff that I've still got in the freezer so that I know what stock I've got of those. There was some wings and stuff in there too that I didn't show. And I've broken this down into different categories depending on where I want to put stuff. So I got interrupted by kids, so this may I don't know whether that followed on quite as well. So I have some like things up here, request plans and miscellaneous that I add to if I have it. Darryl requested some lamb maybe this month. We'll see. It's a bit of a splurge. We'll see what they've got. And then, yeah, this is the stuff that's still in the freezer at the moment. So I need to take that into account. I generally do a little bit of meal planning only in a way that I know what I might need or how much I might need. So with those tenders, I really want to do more satay chicken. I really enjoyed that. So I've got that listed here. I've got all that pepperoni, so I might do the pizza pockets for the pepperoni. We'll have green curry, udon noodles, sausage rolls, which means I need those pork roasts to mince up. Darryl also requested possibly a pork belly. We'll see how we go. Some of those thighs and breasts can be turned into buttermilk chicken, so I'm aware of that. And then if I thought maybe we'll do keto Kievs this month, but that means I do need to get some keto crumbs. Also looking to do the keto cheesecakes this month too, so that impacts what I'm buying. I have over here a Coles and a Woolworths calendar because Coles and Woolworths have specials that finish on a Tuesday and start on the Wednesday. Now I do an order online at the moment that will include all the specials that are included up until Tuesday, but from Wednesday forward I can also access the half price specials and stuff in store. So I sit there and I go through the catalogue. I haven't done Woolworths yet, and I go, this is what's on special in items that I'm doing an order for now, and then this is the stuff that's on special from Wednesday forward. So I need to go in store to do that, so I double check that before I do my order. I also have a notes section, like I think I'm going to buy some dairy-free cheese from Costco this month for those pockets, because I just think that I'm going to do that this month. And I might try the Greek yogurt dough, which means I need to buy the bulk Greek yogurt as well. Darryl requested mushrooms now that we've got the dehydrator, because we make a mushroom salt that he loves. So, mushrooms to dehydrate. We went through both jars of those cornichon pickles from Costco, so we definitely want that. And then parmesan for crumbing, and I need to order some pork rinds for that as well. We were also completely out of bicarb and corn flour, so that was just noted there too. I also have this page where I do miscellaneous other stuff. So I have these 4 places that I also attend. I go to Big W, I get 10% off a month at Big W, so I generally buy my dishwasher liquid, my laundry liquid there, and sometimes other stuff. Kmart I generally go to every month. I get 5 times the Flybuys points if I shop in store rather than posting, so I tend to do that. And have a few things and stuff that I need to buy, that I want to buy. We're really short on cutlery again. I want a bin type thing for my kitchen so that I can put like my dirty tea towels and stuff in there so that they get washed separately from the clothing. And Sonnet's looking at doing some canvas and paints for people with some cat portraits and things like that. All right, I got interrupted again, so I'm not entirely sure where I was up to. But these lists here for different things. Canvases and paints for Sonnet, I think, was where I was up to. She's been drawing portraits of the cats, painting portraits of the cats, and so we were looking at getting her some mini canvases and some more paints and stuff, and maybe she can start doing some other people's portraits of cats as well. So we'll have to show you those eventually. I also am due for a new phone plan, and Darryl's phone is on the way out, so I tend to hand my phone down to him and get a new one, so we might look at doing that. I did order some stuff online that I don't buy in person. So like I did the coconut milk powder and the cream from Hello Pure. It got delivered to Mum's already. I just realised I've been leaning on my mic, so we'll see how well that works. So I got the coconut powder, milk powder and the cream from Hello Pure. It's already at Mum's waiting. And I ordered sweetener and some coconut sugar from Naturally Sweet, but I forgot to pay the invoice. So whether it arrives before I get to Mum's, I'm not sure. But it's free shipping to Mum's, so I did that. I also, when I was looking at Coles and Woolworths, was trying to buy myself my purpose of my choice of shampoo and conditioner, and apparently it's been discontinued. It's the OGX caffeine one. So I found some online and ordered some through Amazon and another company. One Amazon only had shampoo or something and the other company only had conditioner, whichever way it is. I actually ordered myself what should be about 12 months worth, so 6 of each. So that would be really cool if that happens. It'd be over 12 months, I reckon. But anyway, I ordered 6 of each so that I could have it if they have it. I also need to do an online order for all my spices and the veggie powders for the instant soups that I want to make, so that's listed there as well. So I keep this as a running thing. I have it for every month, so that I can look back as well and see what I did, as well as those inventories. Those inventories are every month as well, so that I can look at the previous month's one and run through and see what I might need to add, and then what I do add too. So like, so this camera is not really ideal for handwriting or anything else, but all I need to do if I want to add something to the thing is handwrite it, so I can just sit there and go, you know, what else do I can zoom in if I need to, what else do I need to add. I can't think of, I could probably do with some salt. I haven't got a huge amount of salt, and I would generally buy that at Costco, so I can just do that and add that to my list here, or add meal ideas to this one if I decide there's something else in particular that I want to put on the lists, or, you know, however it is. So that means that I can sit here with this window open, this window open. I can also open a browser window if I wanted. So if I was doing my Woolworths order, for example, I could open up my browser. Now let's see if we've got anything I shouldn't have open here. And go to Woolworths, and then have that open as well and go shopping for whatever I want to shop for. And I can have this open in that other window instead. So I could have the Woolworths window open here instead with my inventory list, and then do all my groceries through here in the catalogs, and go through the specials and whatever else. So I can do it that way, and I have it sitting here. I also have my laptop too if I'm inside for doing things like that. So bad angles with all that, but I did screen capture this, so we will see. So hopefully that, you know, makes sense. As I said, I've been leaning on my mic this whole time, so we will see how that goes. So all my inventory is done and all that sort of thing. I did make some decisions on those, the meals and stuff like that, about what I wanted to make this month, and try and figure that out. I do have a lot of that chicken left, so I shouldn't need much in the way of chicken. I might buy, if I can get some whole chickens. Oh, actually, the boneless chickens were marked down to $10 each at Coles in the specials at the moment, so I did order some of those because they're just great to have in the freezer, pre-marinated and everything else. And possibly if I can find some cheap bone-in chicken, I will do that, because that's the only other thing that we're really lacking at the moment in the way of chicken. And chicken, it's vacuum sealed, frozen, it will last for the next shopping cycle as well, so it's not like I need to use it all in that period. Other than that, I did all the inventory. I did the Coles order. I will do the Woolworths order as well as those spices and the veggie powder. So I want to buy some pumpkin powder, some potato flakes, so probably some spinach or leek flakes as well, possibly a tomato powder as well, those sorts of things, because I'm going to create a few different instant soup mixes, like the cup of soups. The kids love cup of soup, but even on special, so it's on special this week, but it's $1.40 a packet on special, half price, and there's only 2 sachets in it. Like, it's 70 cents per serve of soup, and like 50% of it's salt. And hey, it's fine, but the biggest issue too with that is the rubbish, the quantity of sachets and boxes, and just sheer number of things. So that's how we've planned for this month. We will see how we follow through on that over the next 4 weeks, and what meals we actually get done and all that sort of thing. But that's what I've done so far. So I think I covered everything. I never managed to cover everything. To be like, you know, this is me we're talking about, but that's how I'm going. So now I'm going to stop now. I'm going to organize some lunch or something, and then I'm going to sort out those 2 pieces of beef. And I won't sign off just yet, because I don't know if there was anything else I wanted to share within what I'm doing there. So I'll get that sorted, and then I'll get back to you. So the day has got away from me, as it does on these lead-ups to leaving, and it is like, it is 3 o'clock, so I really need to do the beef for dinner, but I had a thought too that normally around this time of year I make Anzac biscuits for Darryl, and I'm not going to be here for Anzac Day, and he's keto this year, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try a keto version of him. Probably won't be anything like Anzac biscuits, but it's a sweet biscuit that resembles them somewhat. no oats or anything though, so you know, we'll see. I also don't have any sweetener at the moment. I have a bag of allulose here somewhere that got sent to me, but I cannot find it. It's here somewhere. But I do have this caramel zero sugar syrup that I bought to have in my coffee, and I'm not a huge fan of. But it'd probably be nice in Anzac biscuits, because Anzac biscuits are sort of caramelly. They normally have golden syrup in them. So we're going to give it a go. I could make sugar-free golden syrup if I had some sweetener, but I don't. So that's what I'm going to give a go, and we're going to just try these biscuits that I think are not really going to be Anzac biscuits, but are going to have some of the similar things. The other thing that I have problems with is that I don't have any desiccated coconut. I only have shredded coconut. So I'm going to grind my coconut up a little bit before I use it. You can use coconut flour instead, but the texture of the coconut is going to be a bit like the texture of oats that we're lacking. So let's see what we end up with today. Okay, so instructions. We got preheat our oven, so I should turn my oven on. And we're going to add almond flour, 100 grams of almond flour. We're only going to do a small batch because we don't know how these are going to work, and the kids can make a batch of proper Anzac cookies while I'm gone. I'll leave a recipe for them to do that. They're good at those. That has chia seeds in it, which is going to help with the chewy factor. So it wants 15 grams of chia seeds, and then it wants 15 grams of gelatin. Alright, and then it wants 30 grams of sweetener of choice. So we're going to use this one. We may need to bump the dry ingredients a little bit because, and I was supposed to grind that coconut first, wasn't I? You know, it's, yep. 30 grams of sweetener, and then 30 grams of coconut. And it wants some bicarb, 1/4 teaspoon of bicarb. I don't know where any of my measuring spoons are, so we're winging it like I normally do. Now we're going to grind that up, except I don't know where I put my lid. And we're just going to grind that up. 8 seconds, speed 6, so that sort of ground that coconut up anyway for me. Let's have a look. So we've got that sort of a texture. Then it wants us to add some butter and some water. It wants 50 grams of salted butter. Alright, 50 grams of salted butter. And then 50 grams of water. Alright, then it wants me to 2 minutes, 100 degrees, speed 2. Alright, so it's going to cook down, and then it says to dollop it onto baking paper, 12 rough biscuit shapes. Alright, let's see what we've ended up with. A very wet mixture. It does say dollop, so I assume a wet mixture is what we're after. So we will just have to go with it. We want 12 dollops. I don't know how to get 12 dollops out of something when you don't know what sort of quantity it is, but we'll... So this is just giving it a go. Oh, I don't expect a whole lot of success out of this one. So let's go dollop. Better to be smaller than bigger in my opinion, because then they're going to be more likely to cook through for a start, but it's always nice to have 2 small bickies than 1 large one. It's that whole feeling like you're having more, even if you aren't. So I'd imagine I can wet my fingers and smooth these out a bit if that's what I want. It smells nice. Doesn't smell like Anzac bickies because there's no oats or golden syrup, but it might be a nice alternative. So I got 11. So they needed to be a touch smaller to make 12, and some of them are a little, might take a little bit here and there to make them feel more even, because otherwise they're not going to cook evenly, which is part of the thing. I suppose I could have used like a measuring spoon of some sort and used that as the so that they were all the same, but it's fine. It does say that you can do this as a slice, but because I'm trying to somewhat mimic the whole Anzac cookies, I wanted to do them as cookies. So there's a bit of water left in this here, so I'm just going to Alright, then we're going to throw them in the oven. It said 170. What did it say for time? 20 minutes turning halfway. Times can vary. You want them evenly golden. So let's give them a go. Hey Alexa, start a 10-minute timer.
10 minutes. Starting now.
There you go, 10-minute timer started, and we will see. I might not clean this straight away because if they turn out alright, I might make a second batch for it. In the meantime, I need to get the beef velveted. So I'm going to leave all this stuff here just in case and get a board and a knife. Oh, I found my knife sharpener too. Well, I didn't find my knife sharpener. It turned up just randomly. I don't know where it was found, but knife sharpener. So I can sharpen my knife, get a board and get the beef done. Right, first up, I'm going to cut it up for velveting for dinner. So this is the last two of the Gorello round roasts. And one of them I'm going to use for another batch of jerky in the Bench Foods dehydrator because we were thrilled with how that turned out and how quickly. And the other one I will velvet. Some will be for dinner tonight, some will be for while I'm not here. So just going to slice it into nice thin pieces to be able to then do them vertically as well, for stir fry. And we'll cook it all up tonight because I'll velvet it all now, which means that it all needs to be cooked up like the hour after it's done, or you could freeze it, but I don't want to freeze it because I want this to be leftovers. So, but I won't leave it in the fridge with the velveting mixture. I will cook it all up tonight. We'll use what we use for dinner, and the rest will go in the fridge and can be reheated to be used on wraps as burritos or with more veggies or with rice or whatever they want. So I'm just going to get this all cut and then I'll get it velveted. Velveting the meat. We're going to use about a tablespoon of bicarb. Now, I buy these measuring spoons and they're from Temu, I know. But they're like $2 something for a set of these measuring spoons, and they're just so convenient. They're easy to clean. There's no little bits that get stuck. They're on a ring, and if I have 3 or 4 sets of them, then I can leave them all on the ring. I never have to take them off, right? Except that I just washed the tablespoon and went to dry it and managed to snap the welded pieces off it, which, you know, is fine. I can use the spoon without it. But it's going to get lost. So if anyone knows of any spoons that are very similar, but are potentially a bit better quality, let me know. Because I love them, and I probably will just go and buy a couple more, which is really wrong of me, but you know. So this is about, I think it's like 1.2 kilos of beef, and I just put about a tablespoon and a half of bicarb on there. I'm also going to add about 2 tablespoons of water, I suppose, about 1/8 of a cup. And then we're going to mix that into the meat, get that bicarb on every surface of that meat. You can use more, you can use less, but you have to be aware of the timing if you do that. So it is 3:30. I will cook this up about 5:15, which means that it's going to be an hour and a half. So we don't want too much on there, because then the meat, the texture of it it's unpleasant. Instead of just being velvety, it's unpleasantly soft. So now let me give my hands a quick wash. I'm sure I've made this like only in the last like week or two on the channel, but you know, well, for a start, I never do anything the same twice, but all right, time has gone for another 10 minutes. But I'm sure I don't make it the same way twice either, because I don't measure a whole lot of things. Anyway, we want some stock powder. I've got some beef stock powder here, generous sort of I want to say that was, say, 3 tablespoons worth. We're going to put, I could measure this, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce looks about right to me. We've got some oyster sauce, which will probably do the same, about the 2 mark. And then some Worcestershire sauce. This is the homemade stuff, so it's quite, the flavours are very full in this one, but I'll probably do 3 of that. All right, and then a little bit of sesame oil. Now I really need to get, I can't find the jar that I was using as a pouring jar for this, because I like to have some in a jar and then I can just decant a little bit, because this tin is not ideal. Probably 2 teaspoons sesame oil. And we don't need to add any other salt or anything, because we've got the soy sauce in there, the bouillon powder and everything else. Plus, if we're going to use it as a stir fry, we'll end up having a stir fry sauce of sorts, which has much the same ingredients again. So all we do is we massage that through, and then this will go in the fridge for the next hour and a half or so. So you want a minimum of 45 minutes, maximum of sort of 3 or 4 hours, but go easy on the bicarb. Or you can freeze it. So I could sit it in the fridge for probably 45 minutes is all I'd probably do, and then quickly vacuum seal it and freeze it. And in the time it'd take to come down to freezing, you'd have it velveted. And then when you were ready to cook it, all you do is defrost it and cook it up. So we have done that plenty of times. So I'm just going to wash my hands, get a lid, and get this in the fridge. All right, and this one, all I'm going to do is slice it up nice and fine for the jerky, and then I'll marinate it, dry rub it, and Darryl and Sonnet or whoever can put it in the dehydrator in the next couple of days and have more jerky, so long as the weather's good. So I cut it a little thin the last batch. Some of it just ended up really, really tough and just a little too dried. The slightly thicker pieces were preferred, so I'm going to do it slightly thicker, but then cut the bigger pieces into 2 so that we've got some consistent sizing for drying. But yeah, I'm not going to be as pedantic about getting it super thin this time, because we actually preferred the slightly thicker pieces. So we will see. Costco does sell this really nice, really thin pork and beef, and I love it. I don't buy it very often because it's quite expensive, but it's always really fatty, and it would probably make really nice jerky. So I will see how my budget is going by the time I get to Costco, and make a call at the time. But anyway, I'm just going to get this all sliced up. All right, so jerky. Now last time I went really light on things because I just didn't want to overdo it, but it was too light. So I'm going to put a splash of soy sauce, and I had thought that would be enough salt last time, but it really wasn't. So I'm going to do 2-3 teaspoons of salt as well. I'm also going to add the Worcestershire again. That's probably all the liquid I want to add. I want to add some garlic, and I'm going to again be far more generous than I was. And then pepper. What else would I want to add? Smoked paprika actually as well, and I was going to add a little bit of liquid smoke as well, was suggested. Now the other thing that was suggested was gochujang, which I'm going to do, but I'm not going to do it on all of it. So I'm going to get all this split and coated. Actually, that's probably part of the thing too, is my paprika isn't smoked at the moment, it's just sweet. So I'm going to be generous with that, and put a tiny bit of liquid smoke. A little bit of this goes a really long way. And we're going to, I might actually not even do the gochujang this time because I've just changed the flavour profile a whole lot. So let's give this version a go, and then the next one that I do, we'll do this sort of a profile again with the gochujang if we think it needs another bump. Darryl does like heat, but not everyone does. So that's all coated. So I'm going to put that in a container with a lid, and I'm going to put that in the fridge, and they can dehydrate it in the next couple of days. And I'm going to leave it there. So this is what the bickies look like after 20 minutes. They're brown on the bottom, brown on top. They're still pretty soft in the middle, so I don't know. Darryl had one to try, so we'll see how they are. But that's them done, and I'm going to leave it there. So I've done all the prep that I need to do for planning for the shop. So all the inventory's done and all this is done, and now all I've got to do is the normal stuff like packing up my bags and all that sort of stuff, and dinner tonight. So I'll put a clip of dinner in here at the end, but yeah, that's me. So that is planning for this grocery trip, and I will see you guys on the next one.